Alright guys, how you doing? So today this is going to be a super quick video. I just sold this knife. This is one of my favorite knives I've ever owned actually, so a little bit of sadness selling this knife, but it is what it is. You know, I'm just moving my collection in a different direction and paring the collection down a little bit. These super expensive knives, well, I'm gonna do a separate video on that, on what my thoughts are on the super expensive knives as far as these fully CNC machine knives go. But yeah, let's get into it real quick. So this is the F5 Silk. It's got pretty much the same exact dimensions as a 95, right? So here's a 95T, exact same size, right? Okay, so there you guys have like a little, give you an idea of what the size is on that. Let's just talk about some of the amazing things about this knife compared to not only just other Shirogorovs but other knives in general. So number one, the CNC work that's done on here is quite remarkable. If you can see just those tiny lines there, that milling, it's not only aesthetically pleasing, right? It's very beautiful. These lines are beautiful. It also adds just a tiny bit of grip, just enough that you notice it, okay? That it's not completely smooth. And then on these custom divisions, you can see the clips are extremely well milled. So on a lot of the production, or even the I guess you could say even the club knives, the collaborations, well, the newer collaborations not so much, but the older collaborations, you don't see as finely milled lines on the clips, so that's always nice. And then it's fully 3D machined everywhere. Shirogorov has some 2D models. They also have some 3D models. This is one of their 3D models where you get the depth of the machining all over the knife. Even the pockets here, right? One of the unique things about this one is the finish on the, let me just wipe the blade off real quick here. But all Shirogorovs have this kind of mirrored stonewash, kind of, not, I don't want to say mirrored because it's not quite mirrored, but it is reflective. So this one is much finer than a lot of other even custom divisions. So I'll pull the 95T back out, which is another custom division, and you see it's reflective a little here. I'm talking about on the actual main bevel. You can see it's slightly reflective, but not nearly as much as the F5. Now you do have the mirroring here, which the F5 doesn't have, right? So it's basically a stonewash flat with a little bit of reflectivity, and then on the main bevel, is even more reflective. So it's interesting, and they do this on all their knives, right? So even the standard production, you can see a little bit deeper stonewash, but look, it's still reflective there. And this one's aftermarket mirrored, so don't pay attention to that. But the main part here you can see, and that's a production knife. Okay, then on the F3, not nearly as reflective again as the F5. So just kind of wanted to point out the differences there. And the F5 is a much finer stonewash and reflective. Also, it came with a mirror edge on it, which is, you know, that's not custom, that's not aftermarket, I should say. That came straight from the factory like that, a mirror edge on this. Knife's extremely sharp. Now, one of my favorite things on this knife is the zirconium accents. You can see here the pivot collar. It just adds a little bit of a dimension to the knife that I think is remarkable. The backspacer on this one is probably my favorite out of any Shirogorov. The newer versions of the custom divisions are pretty awesome in that they actually cut out a little part of the frame to fit more backspacer in there, so it just looks very clean. You can kind of see on the F3, it's not quite like that, right? They don't cut out the frame to make it extremely flush. It pops out a little bit, which is fine because it gives you a little bit of grip, but just aesthetically, I think that this is much more beautiful and smooth looking, much more well executed, I would say. The internals, let's see if we can get a look in there. It's a little tough in this light, but extremely milled out, very light knife, extremely smooth knife. This runs on the roller bearings, and it's one of the most hydraulic Shirogorovs I've ever had the pleasure of handling. And yeah, I'm a little sad to let this one go, but thing is when you have a great knife, they're really easy to sell. So if you're in a pinch, or you just want to pare down your collection like what I'm working on now, it's just one of the easiest ones to you know, let go. I didn't even list it. I just asked my buddy, and he was like, "Yep, I found someone." 2 seconds, right? It's like it's just the way it goes with the super nice, super rare ones. I don't know how many of the F5 Silks were made, especially with the zirconium, but I can't imagine it's very many. Maybe 30 or 50. I'm not really sure, but yeah, that's gonna do it, guys. I really made this video because I'm gonna miss this knife quite a bit. Like I said, it's one of my favorites, if not my favorite in my entire collection, or that I've ever owned. So yeah, it was a joy to own, but it's time to say goodbye. Alright guys, take it easy.